3 years ago, the famous Alucard explored an ancient ruin in Egypt where he encountered a group of vampire sentinels. He asked for safe passage, but upon their refusal, he quickly engaged them in combat and, as anticipated, emerged victorious. Regrettably, he found that the prize he sought was no longer present. Fast forward to the present. Alucard apologizes to his companions for being late as they discuss a powerful vampire named Erzsébet. Maria mentions that Erzsébet has tapped into the abilities of an Egyptian goddess named Sekhmet. Alucard informs them that this goddess left behind her red essence in a temple, which is tied to a prophecy regarding its return. However, he has discovered that someone is draining this liquid, leading them to suspect Erzsébet is behind it. Richard cautions them about Erzsébet's overwhelming power, recounting his own unsuccessful attempts to confront her. Alucard explains that the goddess's blessings are divided into two parts. One portion is contained in the red liquid, while the other resides within his heart. To avoid a confrontation with Erzsébet, they need to locate a mummy. Alucard invites Richard to accompany him on a journey to Paris for this task. Meanwhile, Erzsébet is furious over Drolta's defeat and seeks revenge against Alucard for abandoning her. She sends Terra, who is now under her command, to capture Emmanuel. Despite being a creature of the night, Emmanuel spends his time burying the deceased, believing they deserve a peaceful resting place, which troubles him. Terra arrives just in time to alert Emmanuel about Erzsébet's summons. Maria, doubtful of Alucard's intentions, instructs Richard to accompany him while she remains close to her mother, Terra. Ulrox, the Aztec vampire, approaches Terra, and they both acknowledge their lack of loyalty to Erzsébet. They agree to ignore one another, and Ulrox advises her to feed now that she has become a vampire. Alucard tries to persuade Maria about the importance of the mission, but time is of the essence. They soon realize that a group is approaching to assist them against the vampires, prompting Maria to step outside to greet them, unaware that Terra is lurking in the shadows, well fed. Meanwhile, Annette connects with her ancestors, who reveal the existence of a mysterious large creature, leaving them in confusion. Concurrently, Erzsébet orders Emmanuel to use his machine to revive Drolta, which he believes is impossible, as vampires are thought to lack souls. In 1911, in Egypt, a devoted priestess was eagerly anticipating the return of the goddess Sekhmet. Regrettably, her temple was attacked by intruders. The priestess was the only one who was able to free the goddess Sekhmet from this threat. In the ensuing battle, the priestess defeated the vampire responsible for the attack. This confrontation led the priestess to undergo a transformation that enhanced her ability to protect the temple. This transformation resulted in the emergence of a new being named Drolta, who now displays her amplified powers in the present day. However, Drolta seems somewhat disconnected from the mummy she has been searching for all this time. Separately, Alucard and his companions are preparing for an important mission. They are placing their trust in the legendary Yusbulman to oversee and guide Maria, ensuring she makes sound decisions during this critical time. During this period, Maria is visited by her mother, Misrach Alzabello, who tries to shield her from danger. However, Maria insists that if she can entrust Alucard, she can also trust his mother. On a separate front, Erzsébet becomes suspicious of Ulrox's unusual behavior. Ulrox claims he has been out exploring and informs Erzsébet that additional reinforcements have arrived to assist Maria. He proposes a plan to launch their attack at dusk, but Drolta argues that there is no need to wait, expressing her eagerness to take action during the day for added excitement and enjoyment. Shifting focus to Alucard and his group, Anne continues to experience visions that she finds challenging to interpret. Meanwhile, Richter sets out on a hunt, but unexpectedly encounters a group of vampires who are determined to defeat him. Fortunately, Annette arrives to assist Richter, and together, they are able to overcome the group of vampires. This victory reveals that they are aware of their enemy's intended destination, but they find it difficult to convey this important information to Alucard. Soon, Misrach realizes that Drolta has returned and is making her way toward the townspeople. Knowing that the townspeople are ill-prepared to defend against a vampire attack during the day, Misrach rushes to intercept Drolta. However, upon arrival, Misrach quickly discovers that Drolta has already reached the town and is effortlessly defeating her opponents. Others attempt to stop Drolta's progress, but she confidently asserts that their efforts will only result in defeat as she triumphs over the entire group, including their captain. In the past, Drolta had been focused on resurrecting the powerful goddess Sekhmet through her devoted followers. However, despite her tireless efforts, Drolta was unable to achieve any success in this endeavor. None of the potential host bodies proved to be mentally strong enough to be able to handle and channel Sekhmet's immense divine power. Meanwhile, Marit and Terra engage in a conversation where they realize that they have managed to defeat all of the newly arrived gods. These gods have now fallen into the possession of a figure named Emmanuel, having been transformed into monstrous entities. Drolta greets this group of transformed former gods warmly, especially the leader, or captain, that she had just recently defeated. As Richard and the rest of his group continue on their journey, they come across a situation where a group of vampires are attacking and preying upon innocent civilians. Alucard believes that they do not have the time or resources to intervene in this particular incident, arguing that their core mission must take priority. However, the rest of the group disagrees with Alucard's assessment and instead chooses to confront and engage the attacking vampires. In her monstrous transformed state, the captain interacts with an individual named Edward. They reminisce about their past lives and experiences, reflecting on how they have ended up in their current dire circumstances. Through this dialogue, they recognize that their fates are deeply intertwined. Meanwhile, the legendary figure, known as Juzbelma, is searching for Maria, but discovers that Maria is not present in the location being searched. Instead, Maria is with her mother, who is trying to lift Maria's spirits as she struggles with feelings of guilt and sorrow over her previous losses and hardships. Drolta lines up and gathers several vampires. At the same time, Elizabeth, feeling suspicious and distrustful of Ulrox, demands that he kill her in the same manner that he had killed others. Concurrently, Terra is teaching Maria how to summon and control various creatures, thereby strengthening their alliance and Maria's abilities. Just then, the arrival of an old Belmont occurs, with this individual believing that Maria is in danger and attempting to protect her. After a brief confrontation, they all realize that they share the common goal of Maria's well-being. However, their discussion is interrupted when they hear a commotion nearby. They soon discover that Elizabeth has gathered and amassed all of the monstrous creatures created by the figure Emmanuel. Additionally, they realize that Drolta now has the ability to fly even in broad daylight. Determined to intervene and put a stop to the ongoing chaos, Maria hurries to confront her father. Terra, feeling worried about Maria's safety, urgently implores the Belmont go after Maria, fearing that she may not be able to reach her father in time. Meanwhile, Alucard and his group of companions arrive in the city of Paris, where they detect the presence of a significant and threatening force or entity in the town square. Alucard, who places great value in and believes in the importance of ancient traditions, argues that these traditional methods are essential for progress and improvement. However, the other members of Alucard's group feel that there may be more effective alternative approaches that could be taken. At the same time, Annette becomes aware that the being or entity she has been sensing and perceiving is now materializing and manifesting directly in front of her. Annette recognizes this manifestation as the embodiment of downfall, ruin, or destruction, and instinctively attempts to move closer, feeling as though there is no way for her to escape or avoid the influence of this ominous presence. In another flashback, we find Drolta during her first encounter with Elizabeth. She acknowledges the terrifying deeds Elizabeth has committed and recognizes his formidable mental strength, deeming him the perfect vessel for her goddess. Drolta offers her service, hoping to earn his acceptance. Fast forward to the present, Annette successfully releases the spirit, but chooses to keep this information to herself. Meanwhile, Maria arrives at her father's temple, where he insists he never intended to harm her. However, he declares that his plans are set in stone, and he has no intention of changing them. Maria, determined to stop him at any cost, confronts the reality of the many monstrous guards he commands. She boldly asserts that she is not the same person she once was. In response, she reveals her new powers, unleashing the monsters she controls to attack his guards. She then demonstrates something even more formidable: the ability to summon a massive dark dragon. Realizing that his time is running out, he attempts to plead for forgiveness, but Maria, consumed by rage, shows no signs of mercy. At that critical moment, Belmont arrives, attempting to intervene. He reminds Maria that this isn't what her mother would have wanted. However, he soon sees that Maria is spiraling out of control. The dark energy she's summoning appears to be consuming her. In a fit of rage, she strikes down her father. Suddenly, an unfamiliar energy materializes before them, claiming Emmanuel and signaling its role as the force that will drag them into the underworld to account for their misdeeds. The other monsters, realizing they have lost their leader, are thrown into disarray. As Maria tries to send the creatures back, she discovers that she cannot control the dragon. It yearns for freedom and is determined to defy her. Belmont rushes in to assist her, but quickly realizes he can't pull her from the situation. Fortunately, the energy returns to him just in time. He manages to retreat, understanding that he cannot face this power and deciding it's wiser to return to where he came from. Exhausted from the recent chaos, Maria falls asleep just as Terra arrives. She asks Belmont to look after her, warning him that Maria is becoming increasingly consumed by the dark energy. Belmont expresses concern that if this continues, he won't be able to control her. Meanwhile, a troubling revelation surfaces. Terra actually wanted Emmanuel to be overthrown. Elsewhere, Olrox approaches Mizrak, expressing his interest in joining him as he seeks a new future. He reassures Mizrak that he doesn't intend to abandon everyone, knowing a significant battle looms ahead. Meanwhile, Alucard and his group reach the location of the mummy they've been searching for, only to discover they have failed in their mission. Just then, Drolta appears, claiming the mummy as her own. It becomes clear that a confrontation is unavoidable, and they prepare to defend themselves. Unfortunately, in the ensuing chaos, Drolta seizes the opportunity to escape with the mummy. Alucard attempts to intercept her, but inadvertently knocks her down instead, realizing they have ultimately failed. On a different note, Annette senses that the spirits of her ancestors are still with her, and their presence feels more urgent than ever, as if they have something important to convey. In a vivid memory, Drolta begins to nourish Elizabeth with the segment liquid, gradually making him stronger over the years. She senses that he is approaching readiness to fully embody Sekhmet's essence. In the present, the mummy realizes she is closer than ever to realizing her ambitions. Meanwhile, Alucard is seething with anger following their recent defeat. He bids farewell to his companions, urging them to destroy as many vampire nests as possible in preparation for the looming great battle. He plans to join forces with the local humans to alert them, ensuring they can bolster their defenses. In a different location, Olrox arrives at the spot where Amandar was defeated and uncovers a book that holds the power to resurrect creatures. At that moment, a dark entity from the underworld materializes before him. Olrox eagerly expresses his desire to work with this being to gain control over the world. However, the dark entity has no time for such ambitions and incinerates the book, reminding Olrox that neither of them truly belongs to this realm. Elsewhere, Tara approaches her daughter Maria, but Demo interjects, advising Maria against following her mother's counsel since she is already a vampire. Undeterred, Maria steps closer to Tara, expressing her wish to become a vampire like her mother so they can finally be together. Belmont prepares to intervene, but before he can act, Tara halts him and tells Maria that this isn't the future she envisions for her. With a heavy heart, she bids farewell, urging Maria to heed Belmont's guidance. Meanwhile, Eudora, grieving the loss of her creator, begins to sing a poignant farewell. Her melody resonates with the others, including Arturus, who seem to connect deeply with her song. In contrast, Arcibel dismisses this display as a futile endeavor, choosing instead to wait for Drolta to return and exert control over them. At the same time, Olrox arrives to bid farewell to Misrock, announcing his decision to return to his homeland. Aware that other vampires may view this as an act of betrayal, he expresses his desire for a quieter life. Before parting, he wishes Misrock luck in the upcoming battle, cautioning him not to be overthrown, as such a downfall would be too much for him to bear. Meanwhile, Richter and Annie follow Alucard, who leads them in taking down numerous vampires in their path. On the other side of the city, a group of vampires approaches the guards assigned to protect the local leaders. Fortunately, Alucard arrives just in time to rescue them from the vampire threat. He then makes his way to the human leaders, informing them of the dire situation and urging them to stand alongside him to defend against the vampire menace. As events unfold, Drolta finally makes her entrance with Urzabet, announcing that she has brought the mummy with her. Together, they recognize that this will complete their power, bringing them closer to their goal of world domination. Meanwhile, Annette begins to piece together what her ancestors are trying to communicate, realizing that there is a third segment soul residing in the afterlife. She understands that the spirits are urging her to seek it out. Meanwhile, the old mentor, or teacher figure, is instructing and training Maria to better harness and utilize her own innate powers and abilities. He reveals that he possesses the capability to summon and bring forth creatures from the underworld, but can only do so by first purifying and cleansing his own soul. This allows him to summon forth the best and most ideal versions of these otherworldly beings. Shifting focus, with Annette and Richter present, they inform Alucard of their plan. Annette intends to disconnect or separate her consciousness from her physical body in order to journey into the metaphysical realm beyond, in search of the third segment or fragment of a soul. They assure Alucard that they will protect and safeguard Annette's physical body while her consciousness is elsewhere. After bidding her farewells, Annette begins the ritual process, connecting with and communing with the spirits of her ancestors. To her delight, discovering that her own mother is among them, Annette warmly greets her mother before proceeding further. The ancestral spirits inform Annette that she needs to seek out and find an ancient god named Gun, who witnessed the birth of the earth itself and would be the ideal guide and companion for her upcoming quest. This revelation opens a pathway leading Annette into the darkness and unknown of the metaphysical realm beyond. There, she encounters Gun, who is depicted as a blacksmith god possessing vast and ancient knowledge. Gun acknowledges Annette's purpose for coming and provides her with a protective shield, warning her that the threat she is about to face is far greater than anything she has encountered before. Additionally, Gun reveals to Annette the exact location of the powerful goddess Sekhmet. When Annette requests Gun's companionship and assistance in her effort to persuade or interact with the goddess Sekhmet, Gun explains that he is unable to directly enter the territory or domain of other gods. Instead, Gun opens a portal or gateway that allows Annette to cross over and venture into that realm on her own. Meanwhile, back in the mortal or physical realm, Alucard encourages and urges Richter to confess his romantic feelings and emotions to Annette, emphasizing that time is running out for them. Richter hesitates, asking Alucard if he himself has ever experienced being in love. Alucard admits that he has felt that way many times in the past, but states that all of those past feelings are now behind him. Alucard reiterates his advice, strongly encouraging Richter to seize the moment and express his true feelings to Annette. In another scene, Elizabeth consumes and devours the heart of a mummy, thereby absorbing and harnessing the energy and power contained within it. Elizabeth feels a surge of newfound power coursing through her as a result of this act. As Annette traverses and journeys through the realm of the goddess Sekhmet, she encounters and confronts powerful guardian entities or beings protecting that area. Undeterred, Annette engages and defeats these guardians, continuing on her determined path towards Sekhmet's palace. Upon arriving, Annette meets Sekhmet, who warns her that she should not be there. Sekhmet reveals that humans have betrayed her, using her strength for their own gain, and declares she has no intention of listening to Annette or offering her assistance. She warns that the Soul Eater is coming for her and that she will be lost in the flames of darkness. Annette tries to explain that she is merely seeking to help Sekhmet recover her stolen souls, which Elizabeth is misusing for evil. At that moment, the Soul Eater arrives, prompting Annette to prepare for a confrontation. Sekhmet starts to see potential in Annette as a suitable vessel and begins to possess her. Meanwhile, in the mortal world, Elizabeth has gained immense power, becoming seemingly unstoppable. Richter, still in a trance, realizes that something is off. He senses Sekhmet's possession of Annette, while Elizabeth summons her creatures, ready to take action. The powerful goddess Sekhmet, brimming with confidence, inquires about the current whereabouts of the blessed or revered Elizabeth, as Sekhmet has plans to claim and seize Elizabeth's souls for themselves. The group of young sees this as a chance to potentially gain an advantage, and they inform Sekhmet that a confrontation with Elizabeth is imminent. Meanwhile, Annette, facing the powerful, soul-consuming entity in the metaphysical realm beyond, prepares herself for the impending clash or confrontation. She quickly organizes and marshals the human forces under her command to bolster their defenses in anticipation of the coming battle. On another front, Edward and the captain work to persuade and convince a few of the monsters to rebel and turn against Drolta's orders, leading them to ultimately turn against their fellow creatures under Drolta's control. Alucard and the human group engage and fight against numerous vampires, showcasing Alucard's impressive skills and abilities as Dracula's son. However, they soon realize that Elizabeth's power and strength far surpasses their own, making the prospect of victory seem unlikely. Just then, Richter and his group arrive, accompanied by the superior being Sekhmet, who begins to seize control over the souls and essence at play in the conflict. Maria and the legendary Belmont also make their entrance at this time. The Belmonts quickly assess that Elizabeth is currently vulnerable due to her distraction, and they seize the opportunity to attack her. Their combined efforts momentarily threaten and endanger Elizabeth, but they soon discover that defeating her will not be as straightforward or simple as they had initially hoped. Meanwhile, Alucard engages in a fierce and intense confrontation as he battles against Drolta. However, Drolta begins to gain the upper hand in this fight. Just as Alucard feels that the battle is nearing its conclusion, Olrox suddenly appears and transforms, intervening to defend and protect Alucard. Yet, the situation takes a dire turn as Mira becomes gravely injured, prompting Olrox to quickly rush to her aid. The Overseer, or ruler of the underworld, then tries to claim or take possession of Mira, but Olrox firmly asserts that she is not his to take. Shifting focus, with Richter and the other one, they seem to be making significant headway and progress in their confrontation against the powerful Elizabeth. After a series of strategic maneuvers and actions, they prepare themselves to ultimately defeat her. Just as Sekhmet steps forward to claim Elizabeth's souls, proclaiming that it is time for him to depart, Drolta suddenly intervenes, abducting the vampire Sekhmet and soaring off into the sky. Erzsébet commands Drolta to annihilate and destroy everyone, but Drolta retorts that she's merely been used as an incubator and declares her intent to instead absorb Sekhmet's power, asserting that it rightfully belongs to her. With this, Drolta becomes even more powerful, ominously warning Richter and the others that their end is near. Drolta soon confronts them, but just in time, Alucard arrives, unleashing his full powers to protect his allies. The battle between Alucard and the formidable beast is fierce and well matched. Richter steps in to assist, and together they channel their maximum abilities against Drolta, managing to weaken her enough for Sekhmet to approach. With his tail connected to her, Sekhmet begins to extract her souls, pulling her into the beyond. As Richter moves closer, he hesitates to let her go, fearing the loss of Annette. Alucard urges him not to cling to her, emphasizing that Annette wouldn't want that. As Erzsébet is driven away, the souls of the goddess start to escape, and the group realizes they have triumphed. However, Richter's joy is short-lived as he feels he may have lost Annette. He cries out for her not to leave him, confessing his love. In the beyond, Annette senses her impending defeat but finds strength in Richter's call. This renewed spirit allows her to overcome the beast. As the souls of the goddess return, she recognizes her mission is complete and prepares to return home. With Owen's help, she bids farewell to her mother before stepping back into her normal life, grateful to Richter for saving her. Yet, the threat of Drolta remains, and despite lacking the goddess's power, she is still formidable. Drolta quickly seeks to attack, but now that Richter has Annette back, he refuses to lose her again. He activates his full powers, motivated and ready to teach Drolta a lesson, making her feel the harsh reality of justice. However, Drolta has more tricks up her sleeve, putting Richter in a difficult position. Fortunately, Ulrich arrives just in time to assist him. Alucard also contributes by handing Richter his sword, which Richter imbues with his magical powers, enhancing its strength. Armed with this newly empowered weapon, Richter confronts Drolta, determined to end the nightmare. As chaos reigns, Richter prepares to take on Ulrich, but he resolves not to be defeated today. The protagonists share their goodbyes, each choosing their own path. Maria expresses a desire for Richter to stay, but he insists on continuing his mission with Annette to combat the vampire threat. Likewise, Annette asks Edward to accompany her back to their homeland, where they hope to restore balance. Meanwhile, Ulrich, aware that Mira's time is limited, decides to transform her into a vampire so they can remain together. Alucard contemplates staying with Maria and the elder Belmont, eager to see what the future holds for Paris. Ultimately, Richter and Annette unite, fulfilling the hopes of many, signaling a brighter future ahead. In a final twist, it's revealed that Tara remains in Paris, not alone, but accompanied by the Underworld's overseer, hinting at more challenges to come. Thank you so much for watching the whole video. Please be sure to check out these other videos and make sure to subscribe and tap the bell to be notified about our latest videos. See you soon.